Okay, ready? Redwall, we're in part 2, and Clooney has been sending for the healer, and Martin and Methuselah have found a secret room. So, anyway, chapter 5. Old Selah, the vixen, muttered her charms and spells in a sing-song voice. Sometimes she did a hopping little dance around the sickbed. Clooney was not fooled. He watched as the fox sprinkled magic herbs on the pillow, reciting another strange spell as she did so. The old fraud, Clooney thought, all that mumbo jumbo and magic nonsense. Why does she need it when she knows that she's a perfectly good doctor? Selah had placed herb poultices and healing salves on the warlord's wounds. After bandaging them neatly, she had administered a potion that would deaden the pain and induce sleep. Clooney was satisfied. He had been treated by healers many times before. Selah was the best. All the added muttering, dancing, and trickery was done merely to enhance her reputation, to pull the wool over the eyes of stupid, ignorant creatures. She may be a fox, but she'll never outfox me, Clooney thought to himself. Selah had assured him that with 3 weeks' rest combined with her healing skills, he would be fighting fit once more. 3 weeks! At first the rat leader had raged and swore. He had never been out of action that long in all his life, but secretly he knew that the fox was right. Without her, Clooney would have been dead or permanently crippled. Like all of her kind, Selah was a slippery character. What did she expect to gain from all this? Loot and plunder from Redwall. Selah had never been allowed past the Abbey gates. She was certain that if Clooney's army overran Redwall, there would be enough treasure to keep even the greediest creature happy for life. Now, as the potions took effect, Clooney felt himself drifting off to sleep, lulled by the ceaseless chanting and murmurings of old Selah. He would have come awake like a scorched tiger had he known what the fox was actually up to. Old Selah had lived on her wits for many years. She was a counterspy by nature. In any dispute or conflict, she was invariably sold secrets to both sides. It was a dangerous game, but one that she had played well thus far. Her crafty golden eyes had not been idle for a second since entering Clooney's camp. Selah knew exactly how many rats, weasels, stoats, and ferrets were able-bodied enough for combat. Also, she had seen the working party gnawing industriously at the base of a tall poplar. If that wasn't going to be used as a battering ram, then Selah was a trout, and by her own diagnosis of 3 weeks, she knew to the day when the date of the next attack on Redwall would be. The vixen watched Clooney's eyes closing under the influence of her medicine. These warlords were all the same. They never gave credit for brains to anyone except themselves. There the big oaf was, snoring like a fox cub in his earth on a winter's night. She turned to the armed rats who guarded the sick room. She issued orders in a confidential whisper. I want no noise, please. Your chief must have complete rest. Don't let him exert himself when he wakes. Now, you'll have to excuse me. She made her way to the door. Fangburn and Redtooth stood barring it. Where do you think you're off to, Fox? Selah licked her lips. She tried to look kindly but earnest. Actually, I was going back to my den to replenish my stock of herbs. That is, if you wish me to treat your leader properly, of course. Redtooth prodded her with a spear. Clooney gave strict orders that you must stay here until he's better. The sly fox blustered. But my good rats, surely you must realize I can do nothing without my stock of herbs. Now please let me pass. Fangburn shoved her roughly. Sit down. You're not going anywhere. Selah seated herself. Her mind was racing. Then at least let me go to the churchyard. I've got to have some fresh air. Besides, I can tell my young assistant what herbs I require, and he can fetch them for me. Redtooth was not convinced. But the chief said you've got to stay here. Selah smiled inwardly. She had them where she wanted them now. She put on a serious expression, shaking her head gravely. Then you had better let me have your names. That way I can tell Clooney when he wakes, full of pain with festering wounds. No doubt he'll want to know who it was who stopped me trying to cure him. This crafty statement did the trick. After a few whispered words between the two rats, Redtooth turned to Selah. Listen, Fox, you can go out into the churchyard and tell your assistant to run this errand, but Fangburn will be right beside you with a cutlass in your ribs. One false move out of you, and you'll be a dead healer. Is that clear? Selah smiled ingratiatingly. By all means, let your friend come along. I have nothing to hide. Out in the churchyard, Chickenhound, who was the son of Selah, sat sunning himself on a tombstone. Fangburn did not see the secret wink that passed between the two foxes. Chickenhound was as devious as his mother in the matters of espionage. His face was a picture of blank innocence as he listened to Selah's instructions. Now listen carefully, my son. We have a very sick rat inside that church. He is in urgent need of my special remedies. I want you to run quickly as you can back to our den. Bring me back some snakewort, cuckoo, 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 cuckoo spit, a medium eel skin, 3 fine strips of willow bark. Oh, and there's much to remember. I'd better write it all down for you. Selah turned to Fangburn. Do you carry any writing materials with you, sir? Fangburn spat scornfully at the fox's feet. Are you trying to make fun of me, healer? What do you think I am, huh? Writing materials. The idea of it. Selah smiled disarmingly. I thought not. Sorry, no offense. I'll just make do with some bark and a burnt twig. Where could I obtain such things, please? Fangburn pointed sullenly with his cutlass. Over there by the cooking fire. Be quick about it. A few minutes later, Selah had presented Chickenhound with a scroll of bark that she had written upon. Now, there, that should do. Now hurry along, my son. Don't stop for anything on the way. Isn't that right, Captain? Fangburn puffed out his chest, proud that the fox knew his rank. He pointed a claw at Chickenhound. You listen to what your mother tells you, young fellow. Get back here with the stuff on that list as soon as possible. Be off with you now. The young fox took off like a rocket. Fangburn leaned on his cutlass. That's the way to deal with young ones. Selah looked at him admiringly. Indeed it is, sir. He never goes that fast for me. It's obvious that you have an air of command about you. Fangburn colored slightly. This vixen wasn't such a bad creature after all. He gestured modestly to the church with his cutlass. I think it's time we went back inside. Orders, you know. Oh, quite. Can't have you getting in trouble, can we? Said Selah in her best smarmy tone. As soon as he was out of sight of Clooney's stronghold, Chickenhound slowed to a leisurely walk. He unfastened the bark scroll and read his mother's message. To the Abbot of Redwall Abbey, I know exactly when, where, and how the hordes of Clooney will attack your abbey. What price will you give me for this important information? Selah, the vixen. Chickenhound sniggered noisily. He knew precisely what his mother required him to do. He recalled Selah's favorite saying, I've sold hens their own eggs back and stolen the whiskers from farmyard dogs. The young fox ambled along the dusty road to Redwall, the hedgerows echoing with the sound of his sly chuckles. He's gonna sell information. Let's see. Okay, let's do one more chapter. Chapter 6. Cornflower was having a very busy day. Having delivered food to Matthias and Methuselah, she went out on the ramparts accompanied by her helpers. They fed the sentries and took back all the dishes. Next, she found herself making an extra 2 trays of food up for Silent Sam's parents. The 2 squirrels thanked her politely and set to with an appetite. Little Sam stood watching them, sucking his paw. Cornflower had a special soft spot for the baby squirrel. She made up a tray for him, too. She had no sooner finished than Constance called her to ask a favor of her. Would she mind making up another 4 trays? 3 for the Vole family that had just returned, and an extra large one for Basil Stag here. Cornflower cheerfully obliged. Standing by, her eyes grew wide with amazement. She had never seen anyone shift such vast amounts of food, not even Constance or Ambrose Spike. They were huge eaters, but mere amateurs compared with Basil Staghair. Basil wiped his mouth daintily on a napkin. He had impeccable manners to match his insatiable appetite. He gushed forth praise for the Abbey victuals. Oh, excellent! Absolutely top hole! Do you know, I'd forgotten how good old Tiffin at Redwall could be. I say, my dear, would you mind refreshing an old bachelor hare's memory? Another tankard of that fine October ale, and perhaps one more portion of your very good summer salad? Ah, and I think I could manage another few slices of Friar Hugo's quince pie. Superb! Don't forget that goat's milk cheese with hazelnuts. I'm very partial to that. Cut along now, you young charmer. My word, what an attractive young field mouse gal. Cornflower sent two of her helpers. They had to go the long way round to reach the kitchens. Abbot Mortimer had declared the great hall and cavern hole out of bounds to all creatures, with the exception of those helping Matthias and Methuselah. Below the newly discovered steps, a pair of lanterns cast pools of golden light into the inky blackness. The two mice made their way gingerly down the secret staircase. The moles stayed outside, ready to help if they were needed further. The air was chilly but dry. Deeper and deeper the two friends went until the steps ended at the beginning of a downward winding corridor. It had been neatly dug and shored up with wooden supports. Matthias suppressed a shudder. How long had it been since any creature trod this silent, dusty passage? He brushed away cobwebs which disintegrated at the touch of a paw. Methuselah held on to his habit. Now they turned left, now right, then another left turn, then left again, then right. Methuselah's voice sounded hollow and eerie. The passage was probably dug like this to give it extra strength. Have you noticed, Matthias? We seem to be going downwards still. Yes, we must be nearly underneath the Abbey foundations, Matthias replied. The friends pressed onward. They could not estimate how long they had been following the course of this ancient, winding corridor. Methuselah had ventured slightly ahead. Now he halted. "Aha! This looks like the end of the line," he squeaked. It was a door. Together they inspected it. Built of stout timber, banded with iron, beset with florin spikes, the door did not appear to be locked, yet it would not budge. Matthias held his lantern high. "Look, there's some writing on that lintel over the door." Methuselah read it aloud. "The same as the steps twixt the hall. Remember and look to the center. My password again is Redwall. That is, you alone are to enter." So that means just Matthias. The old mouse did not hide his disappointment. "Huh! After all the help and assistance that I've given, countless hours of study and valuable time. Really?" His words fell on deaf ears. Matthias was already counting the florin spikes that were driven into the door. Methuselah feigned indifference, but his natural curiosity soon overcame any chagrin he felt at not being allowed to pass the doorway. "Need any help, young mouse?" 42, 43. "Hush! Can't you see I'm trying to count?" came the reply. The old gatekeeper put on his glasses. "Well, have you solved the riddle all by yourself?" Matthias winked at his companion. "Yes, at least I hope I have. There are three clues in the rhyme, you see, the same as the steps. Look to the center, and the password is Redwall. Now, we must remember that Redwall has 7 letters. If you look at these old-fashioned nails," "florin spikes," Methuselah corrected. Matthias continued. "Yes, if you look at these florin spikes, you'll find that they are in rows of 7, the same as the number of letters in Redwall. There are 7 rows of spike going from side to side and 7 rows from top to bottom, 49 spikes in all. Therefore, the 25th spike up or down or across is the exact middle spike. The rhyme says, look to the center. That's this one here. As Matthias placed his paw on the spike in question, the door swung creakingly inwards. Both mice could feel the hairs standing on their backs as the door opened with agonizing slowness. When it stood fully open, Matthias put his paw around Methuselah's thin shoulders. Come on, old friend, we go in together, he said. But the rhyme, Methuselah protested, says that only you may enter. Matthias answered in a strange, full voice. He seemed to grow in years of statures. I am, that is, old one, and faithful I say that you are with me. Methuselah felt himself in the one many times older than he. Lanterns held high, the 2 mice advanced through the doorway. It was a small, low-ceilinged chamber. A stone block rested squarely in the center. The tomb of Martin the warrior. All around the sides of the stone were detailed carvings depicting scenes from Martin's life, deeds of valor and works of skillful healing. Lying along the top of the stone was a life-sized effigy of the warrior. He was clothed in the familiar habit of a Redwall mouse, plain, with no trimmings. Matthias stood reverently, gazing upon the calm features of his own legendary hero in the silence of the small chamber. Methuselah whispered in his ear, He bears an uncanny resemblance to you, young one. As the old mouse spoke, the door behind them creaked shut. Feeling no panic, Matthias turned to look. On the back of the door hung a shield and a sword belt. The shield was plain, round thing of the type carried by the warriors of old. The years had not dulled its highly burnished front. At its center was the letter M. The sword belt was in pristine condition, soft and as supple as if it had newly come from the tanner's bench. Shiny black leather with a hanging tab to carry sword and scabbard. Its broad silver buckle gleamed in the lantern light. Without a word, Matthias undid his novice's cord girdle. Handing it to Methuselah, he took down the sword belt and buckled it about his waist. The belt fitted as if it had been made for him. With great care, he lifted the shield from the door and tried it on his arm. It had 2 grips, one below the elbow and the other for the paw to grasp. So, like right here and right here. It felt oddly familiar to Matthias. There was more writing where the shield had hung upon the back of the door. Methuselah read it. By the moonlight, on the hour, in my threshold space lay me. Watch the beam reflect my power. Unite once more my sword with me. I am, that is, stand true for all. O warrior mouse, protect Redwall. As in a dream, Matthias gave the door a gentle tug. It opened. By the lantern lights, the 2 mice made their way back from the lonely chamber, back to the familiar warmth and cheer of Redwall Abbey, back to the hot June noonday sun. There you go. Next time, Chapter 7. Until then.